Well, we'll give it a minute before we start. Well, now, Katrina, we have you under two different personas.
Oh,
I
yeah,
assume.
that's for school. That's my note taker. I don't know how to get it off there.
It doesn't matter. I just found it interesting. You're in two places at once.
Hi, everybody.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay. All right. Well, it's 5:31. We will start recording. And we'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the land acknowledgement. As we gather today, we acknowledge that Eureka, California is ancestral territory of the Wiyot people. We also honor all Indigenous people and territories and sovereign governments that share governance within Humboldt County, California. We gather with respect and gratitude to these Indigenous people. We thank and honor the Indigenous caretakers of this land who continue to cherish and protect it. Their elders have instructed the young to consider the 7 generations ahead as they continue to protect the rights of the land and all the people who live on it. We encourage all to align and follow the lead of local Indigenous communities as they steward the land and protect all of its natural resources. And we'll pause for a moment of silence. Okay, thank you and welcome. Carol, if you'll call the roll.
Yes, for District 1, Jim Glover,
Here.
I'm here. Bird Lochte,
Here.
District 2, Larry Miller,
Here.
Diatso Ali Perkins.
She's going to be here, but she'll be a little bit late.
Okay. District 3, Guy Arnoff,
Here.
Jamie Jensen,
Here.
Ellen Murphy.
Here.
District 4, Mary Lyons, Eddie Morgan, District 5, Lisa Sundberg. We have 7 members present.
All right, so we do have a quorum. Okay, thank you, Carol. The next item on the agenda is adjustments to the agenda. If there's any reason why we need to change the order of anything or add or delete anything, please let me know at this point.
Only if something I'm supposed to say comes up when I have to go out for the sheep. I'll be back.
Okay, we'll try to get this done before you have to herd them. All right. Next item on the agenda is the consideration of the approval of the minutes of the September 1st, 2022 regular meeting. Is there a motion to approve? Bird?
I just had a couple of things that I think were probably typos, but I just wanted to bring them up under the message line report. There's a sentence that says return to call to the first caller, which their phone, it should say, but their phone was disconnected. And then under future agenda items, that it should be items with an S instead of just item. You don't need a motion if nobody else has anything more, you just accept them as amended.
Unless there's any objection, we will accept the minutes as presented with those corrections. Seeing none, those are approved. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is the treasurer's report with Guy.
Not much to report. At least the treasury is stable. We still have a balance of 476.90. I think the only other news I have, I acquired from our chairperson, the Board of Supervisors. I assume you'll talk more about that. Has approved a budget for us, I think, for the first time. So that's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's good news, actually. Thank you, Guy. The next item on the, let's see, I'm skipping something and I didn't mean to do that. Opening notes will cover part of what you were just talking about. I had 4 points I wanted to go over briefly that are not really included in the agenda. The first is the possibility of a tabling event that we could participate in on October 23rd from 10 a.m. until 5. This is a tabling event to honor Pride Month in Humboldt County. I won't be in the area, so I can't be participating. But if there is somebody that could take a few hours off on a Sunday to table and offer resource cards, logo flyers, general information about the commission, I would be more than happy to talk to you about what we have available. We have a table, we have a banner. We just need a person to sit with those things. And so if there's somebody available on that date, the 23rd, I believe it is at, Bird may have to help me with the location is at the church, is that correct? Oops.
Muted.
Bird, you're muted.
I think she's looking.
Oh,
At any rate, if there's somebody available, get back to me and we'll talk about what it might take. It basically is just representing the commission to a group of people that may not be familiar with our activities. Second item is that we have another applicant going through the process of being appointed to the commission. This would bring us much closer to full capacity than we have been for quite some time. We could still use, after this one is accepted, we'll still need 2 more representatives. And you can help a lot if you know somebody that could contribute to our work. Please encourage them to apply.
Jim, what district?
Well, they don't have to be living in the district that they are nominated from. So they might live in Arcata, but still be appointed to a Eureka district or something like that. So we wouldn't know that until the supervisor made the appointment.
Thank you.
You bet. Bird. We still can't hear you.
I know, I was having trouble unmuting.
There you are.
It doesn't say in the email that I got it, and it just has a link if you were interested. Do you still have that email?
I do. If,
And that's where I guess you get more information.
yeah, I went to the link and it didn't offer any specifics either. But I'm assuming it's at the First Congregational Church on.
Oh, I don't know. It came from the from that church. It's not congregational, got a couple of names. But I'm not sure that it's actually at that church. It's the Pride celebration, and I think it might be in Arcata. I think it's been in Arcata in the past.
Okay, well, we'll have to find that out. If you are interested in donating a little bit of your time, we will get that information and pass it on to whoever's interested.
I'm sorry, I am not available that day, so I can't help you.
Okay, well, thank you. Thanks for letting us know about it anyway. Following up on something that Guy brought up a few minutes ago, for the first time in my memory, the Human Rights Commission has actually received a budget item in the county budget. The budget is for $7,000 total, $2,000 of which is for operational expenses. So we don't have to necessarily use McLean Foundation money to pay for printing and things of that nature. The additional $5,000 for this first year, we may not spend all of it, but we can spend up to $5,000 in support of projects. And this year's project was specified as the anti-human trafficking campaign. We will have to work with Tina, who's present with us tonight, to decide what is the best way to spend money and the most effective way to affect change on that. So I'm really pleased about that. I'm hoping that this will be an ongoing situation. It may not always be, the 5,000 may not always be for trafficking, but the 2,000 would be a steady flow of money to the commission for expenses so that we're not doing stuff out of pocket all the time. Bird.
I'd just like to say thank you, Jim. Your persistence in getting the Board of Supervisors to get this for us, I think has really paid off. So thank you very much. And it is, I believe, the first time ever that they have given us any money. Is that right, Larry?
No, they gave us $800 back in during the timber wars, and we had a neutral observer cadre of commissioners that were going, and they kind of got kind of uncomfortable with that. So they said, if you if that gets, you can transfer that into another group, we'll give you guys $800 to hire a trainer, a nonviolent trainer. And what was that, 2005 or something, way back? But you're right. Other than that,
Yeah,
Every 17 years or so isn't too bad.
right. But thank you, Jim.
Well, you're welcome, and I think it's a tribute to the persistence of the commission as a whole to that we've built up some trust with the Board of Supervisors, and I trust that we'll show them that we're spending the money well and effectively during the course of this year.
Also, thank you to Guy for getting this board supervisor to our meeting last month.
Yes, yeah, that's true. It all helps. The last item I had on has to do with committees. We have some absences again tonight, which makes it difficult for us to move forward on a lot of topics. But if you're a chair of a committee, an ad hoc committee especially, or you're a member of a committee, try to see that your committee meets at least once during each month to move the projects forward that we're working on. None of us are paid, so it's hard to say, well, we're going to dock you if you don't meet. That's not the way it works, but we hope you're inspired enough to meet and move projects forward, as some of our committees certainly have been. And finally, now back to our agenda. Item number 7 is our guest speaker. And this is Katrina or Tina Taylor, depending on how you know her. And she would like to bring us all up to speed on recent events with the anti-human trafficking work that she's been doing and how the commission has been trying to support her. And Tina, do I understand you have a PowerPoint? Okay, well, I will let you. All right, you've got it there. Very good. Welcome, Tina.
Okay, hello, everyone. I see several faces that I don't recognize, and I asked Jim, should I go back from the inception of when I started working with the commission? And he said, no, that's okay, but I feel, oh my gosh, there's several faces I haven't seen before. So again, my name is Katrina Taylor Sims, and as Jim said, unless you want to get on my bad side, I prefer Tina. The only time I ever heard Katrina was when I was in trouble. I am the awareness director of an organization called EPI. It stands for Empower, Protect, and Invest. And actually, I have been dubbed with this title called Wearer of Many Hats because I wear many hats. Let's see. Of course, it's not going to work. In 2014, there were many people that were asking, is human trafficking happening here? And it was. At that time, my father was very prominent in the community, and we are also Native American. And so not that my father didn't know what was happening, because I am a lived experience expert in the trafficking topic. I stayed in the background. And so I did, when I decided that an event needed to come to Humboldt County, I brought a group of people from Southern California from an organization called Forgotten Children, and they presented in the way old time when the Human Rights Commission still were meeting in person in the courthouse. I feel like that was such a long time ago. Anyway, and so they presented there. I stayed in the background. From this meeting, there started a woman named Elle Snow, who started bringing awareness. And then there was a second trafficking event. And then I stepped out of the limelight out of the background. And I stepped into the limelight because unfortunately my father had passed away. And I wanted to keep his honor, and I figured now was the time. So I partnered with EPI. EPI started over in Thailand, and I partnered with them because they were doing this project called the Prevention Project. It's spearheaded in St. Bernard's High School, and it teaches young people about the lures of human trafficking so that they don't become victims. And it also creates abolitionists. From that, I started working very closely with the Human Rights Commission, and the original grant, we decided that there was many people doing some things here in Humboldt County, and we decided that there should be a website so that everyone could go to this website, and if they were law enforcement and they needed an advocate, they would be able to find that. So housed under the Human Rights Commission is this website that does need some fine tuning, but it is there, it has been developed, and it has been successful because of this website. I've had many phone calls that said they've gotten the number off from the website. People who need help, people who want to help, or people who know someone who needs help. And so that was one of the wonderful things that happened from the original grant. Then there started being community collaboration, And with this community collaboration, I decided that a whole lot of people needed to come to the table because I seen a group over here or an agency doing a dance. I seen a group over here or an agency doing a dance. And at that time, not many people were dancing together. So we started a community collaboration. And of course, there were several members of the Human Rights Commission that attended. And we decided that there needed to be an awareness campaign. And so we began developing and brainstorming what that awareness campaign would look like. And this, am I in the way? Do I have my little people in the way? There we go. So this was this was what birthed out of that awareness event. Many people came together. This rode on the back of bus number 61, and it was successful. I was getting phone calls, people who were needing help, people who wanted to help, and again, people who knew somebody who needed help. Then it took kind of like a dive for a little bit, and I have found that that is not uncommon. As I've been running the hotline since prior to this bus ad, we do, that's another thing that the Human Rights Commission has helped, but it took a dive for a little bit. And then about the same time that it took a dive, there was a radio ad that started running, and they started running neck and neck, and then it blew up and the hotline was ringing on a regular basis. Unfortunately, I don't want that to sound like a success story, because unfortunately that means that human trafficking is still happening in Humboldt County, right? This was the collaboration. There you see your world famous Jem Glover, Eddie Morgan, many members of Seroptimus, and yeah. That was when it was important during the middle of the pandemic that we wear the mask. So as you see, as you can tell, this was a group effort. This was the Human Rights Commission. This was Seroptimus. This was EPI. And this was the county. Oh, this was before the new one, right? Let me see. Oh, yes. As you can see, the county seal is on that there. Let's see. Inside every single one of those buses, I'll just be transparent here. I couldn't find the actual flyer, so I created one. Is a flyer that looks similar to this one. I'm a firm believer that we don't need to reinvent the wheel. So it has the National Human Trafficking Hotline number on it. And it also, this number here, the Humboldt County hotline, is actually down at the bottom. But in every single bus is a flyer that looks similar to this inside the bus, inside gas stations, hotels. I believe I've seen them in Coast Central credit unions. I think that I've seen them in the colleges and at CR. There is now some at Cal Poly Humboldt. I have seen, they have been distributed everywhere. And so this is letting people know that there's help and resources out there. So of course the hotline was birthed from the second, I don't remember, first or second grant. And I would like to give you statistics. However, I'm not your statistic person. I created some and it didn't look right. And so I promise to give that to you. I will email it to you. I have been keeping track of how many people have been calling or what sort of phone calls they are. And I wanted to make this big elaborate, and I started overthinking it. And hey, so I'll get it to you guys. My word is my bond. Anyway, so it has been useful. And I'll tell you when it hasn't, that's okay, because as of right now, I am the only person who's been answering it. However, there, from the newest little portion of the grant, there was another phone that is purchased, and we will be getting somebody. I'm actually meeting with law enforcement next week to help me be able to train somebody else, because the way that I respond to individuals who call into the hotline, I can't expect or ask volunteers to respond in the same way. We want volunteers to be kept safe. And we also want them to know what they're doing and feel confident when they walk into this. So we're meeting with this individual, as a matter of fact, at 2 o'clock next Thursday. She's a local law enforcement that has been coming to the meetings and already does crisis intervention for EP, for the sheriff's department. The second grant helped me do some personal development, helped me go to the Just Conference so that I could come back and be able to effectively stay up to date on the stuff that was new and improved, and be able to train other people. One of the many hats that I do wear, like I said, is I train law enforcement, and I want to be able to train them to know how to spot even stuff that is going on now that wasn't going on back in the day. For instance, one of the things that we say all the time is that human trafficking is just like selling dope. When one spot shuts down, 15 other pop up. So it's new inventing, just like technology. Once I think I have it down, it develops into something else. So it's absolutely imperative to make sure that you stay up on personal development. During that personal development, there was a sisterhood formed, and which is really imperative because we don't have beds here in Humboldt County. And so when I get phone calls for people that need beds, I call some of these people that you see in this picture, and they help me find housing for individuals that need to be transferred out of Humboldt County. One of the things that Humboldt County unfortunately has is victims mostly pertaining to Native Americans. As you know, we have many tribes that are surrounded us, and so human trafficking has the highest rates in the Native American community. So I want to go back to this. This is one of the things that I'm super excited about. I recently went up to Hoopa and was able to work with a group of young people who what they call were troubled, and we developed a PowerPoint that they developed so that they can go back and teach the individuals in their high schools what human trafficking looks like. Who better to train other individuals than youth themselves? Because of all the work that the Human Rights Commission has partnered with me, with other agencies, with Seroptimus, we've received more than one proclamation. And then the current project that's going on right now is the Ending the Game curriculum. So the Ending the Game curriculum was sponsored initially by Seroptimus to get 2 facilitators trained. And those 2 facilitators have been meeting. We are now on week 7. We're on week 7. And we started with 5 participants, and we're now down to 4 participants. The grant was able to give a stipend to the facilitators, which, just like you guys have a budget, was new for facilitators or any lived experience experts getting a stipend here in Humboldt County to be actually start getting paid for what they're doing was huge. And so I'm grateful for that because of course I am one of the facilitators, but I'm grateful because this shows that the community wants to actively support survivors to where they become, no, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, so drew a blank. So this is going to be really small. I'm going to read it to you guys because even I have a problem, but I thought I'd go over real quickly what the curriculum looks like so you know what the participants are studying about. So the first week is just the introduction. Students are introduced to ending the game. And what it's going to be. They set their own pre-rules and they fill out a pre-assessment survey. The week 2 is false promises. Students learn how unmet needs can cause vulnerability and how exploiters can cause victims to believe that they provide solutions to these unmet needs. Week 3 is isolation. Students learn how and why exploiters cause physical, mental, and emotional isolation. After reflecting upon ways that they felt isolated, students are encouraged to do one or more suggested activities to foster reconnection. Week 4, disassociation. Students learn basic psychological principles regarding human response processes. Week 5, self-defeating thoughts, and students learn how thoughts can impact behavior and learn to differentiate degrading from healthy thoughts. Students also identify and examine personal thoughts that contribute to sexual exploitation. Lastly, students learn strategies to avoid degrading thoughts and enjoy benefits of healthy thoughts. Let me move my little people down here out of the way. Here we go. Week 6, it's called the game. Students learn how exploiters cause emotional highs and lows as the method of coercion. After reflecting upon their emotional health in the game, students learn strategies to embrace healthier emotional balance. And okay, of course, now it doesn't want to click. There we go. Well, no, we're going too far. How about I just do this? Real quick, week 7 is self-defeating behavior. Week 8 is identity disturbance. I wanted to touch on this one because this was a deep week. Students learn basic mental health principles concerning identity and identity disturbance. After reflecting upon their own individual identity, how it's been disturbed, students learn and practice strategies to spark recognition and appreciate true identity. And then phobias, students learn the difference between fear and phobia, and then shame. This one is huge, and sometimes this keeps individuals out there. But students learn the negative impact of shame on personal growth and learn strategies to overcome shame, including self-care, self-compassion, and embracing survivorhood, where then we can create other mentors and advocates out of this. They are doing wonderful where they're at today. And I'm super excited that you guys have supported this far. Future projects. We have graciously been donated a space at Salvation Army. We have been there for 9 weeks, I want to say. We were 7 weeks on that. Yeah, about 9 weeks, 2 weeks before we started the curriculum. And original first couple of weeks, we just did street outreach and letting people know where we were at. The first week, we do have stats on this. I should have brought it in and I apologize. The first week we passed out, I want to say 10 bags. Of those 10 bags, 9 were to females, 1 was to a male who we believe and assume were out there working. The second week, I think there was only 8 passed out. The third week, one of us stayed at the drop-in center, and I have been going and doing street outreach. And we have been passing out a minimum of 4 bags, sometimes more, per night. We've had 2 visitors to the drop-in center. And the last couple of weeks, we haven't done street outreach this week and last week, because as you know, there was a moving of individuals right there by the Salvation Army, and it has caused an uproar. I guess that there was actual gangs trafficking girls in the back there. And so now they've moved to another area, and they have their feathers in a dander, and it has been suggested to me that I should not go back there. So I've just been hanging out. So I'm looking for volunteers. Anybody that feels strong enough that wants to come with me, I just put it out there everywhere. So we are needing to paint the drop-in center. We're needing to make it a little more homey. The nice thing about this drop-in center that's coming in the future is we are going to record survivors who want to share their story. And this will be being played on a loop, so that other individuals who come into the drop-in center, they may be sitting down having hot chocolate and watching this, and they may think that they made the choice to do whatever they're doing, and they might watch somebody else's story and realize that they're actually a victim and that they haven't made that choice. Somewhere forced fraud or coercion happened, and that's how they got into that. So there's future sprucing up of the drop-in center. January, we're hoping to hold an anti-human trafficking awareness walk, because January is the National Awareness Month. And there's also talk of a conference, but I'm trying to slow people down on that. We can only do a few things right now. We need to do just a couple things well. So right now, that's a drop-in center and this walk. And at this point, I have time for questions and answers.
Any questions for Tina? Can't see everybody at the same time, but Bird?
Not so much a question, it's just a comment and a thank you to Tina for all the work that she has put into this. I know we gave you money, but the money didn't pay for everything you've done. So thank you very much.
Tina, I do have a question for you. The new phone that you have purchased or are purchasing, will it have the same phone number?
Yes, sure. The nice thing about the hotline is it is ran from Verizon, and it has installed, they installed in my phone what's called the Hunt group. And so this Hunt group will circulate. So let's say this is the phone that we purchased, right? And the volunteer doesn't answer their phone for whatever reason, it will then circle to my phone. And so somebody at all times will be able to answer it. Hopefully the volunteer will answer the phone, because I have to just say this. I shared this prior to receiving the grant, but you know, my worst nightmare was that I would be out of town and the hotline would ring. And it hadn't happened until this one week. It rang, and the girl was ready to move right then, and I wasn't here, and I didn't know what to do. And so I called a colleague, and I asked if they had an Uber account. Could we Uber the girl to the safe Underground Railroad bed that we had, which was thankfully available at the time. Unfortunately, the bed has not been available a lot lately. So at that time it was, and it got handled, and I wasn't here, and I was like, phew. But yes, that's the whole great thing about getting a volunteer train, so that we could take turns, and I don't have to worry as I'm out of town, like, is it gonna ring? And yeah.
Okay.
Jim,
Yes, Carol.
I also want to thank Tina for all her efforts. I know she's been in Indian country. You also said you went to St. Bernard's High School for your program. You're getting the message out there. You are doing more than what we could do as the Human Rights Commission.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
very much appreciated, Tina.
Thank
Right.
you.
Your dad will be proud, Tina.
For those who were the newcomers that Tina referred to, Tina's father was the chair of the Human Rights Commission when I first joined. And
Can I tell the story?
sure, go ahead.
Sorry, that's why I was trying to hurry. I know I'm taking up time. So I moved up here to take care of my dad, and I would take him food regularly. But my father was prior law enforcement, so he watched cop shows all the time, and it was an unspoken rule that you don't talk to him while the show was on, and so I could only talk during the commercial. And so this one day I was bringing him food, and he says, "Oh, just set it down on the table. I have a board meeting." And so I met him the next night, and I said, "Well, Dad, what kind of board meeting did you have?" And he said, "Oh, I had a Human Rights Commission meeting." And I said, "Oh, what do they do there?" So he began to explain it, and then of course the show came back on, and so I wasn't allowed to talk to him. And then the next commercial came on, and I said, "So you mean I could present human trafficking there?" And he said, "You think that's happening here?" It's like, "Oh yeah, definitely." And so the show came on, and then the next commercial, he said, I said, "Well, how would I present that there?" And he said, "Well, you talk to the chairperson, and then the chairperson will take it back to the board, and then we figure out when to get you on the agenda, and then you could come and present like that." The show came back on, and then I waited to the next commercial, and I said, "Well, Dad, how do I get an audience with this chairperson?" He said, "Well, you're talking to him." And like I said, it's not that my dad didn't know what happened to me, or that he hadn't, we hadn't talked about it, but we live in such a small community that I felt it was my job to keep his honor and just kind of stay in the background. So when he passed away, I decided that it was time for me to step out, since at that time, my colleague had disbanded her nonprofit. So here I am. Thank you.
Well, I respected your father very much, and I'm sure he would approve of all the steps you've taken since. Well, if there are no further questions for Tina, we'll conclude the presentation. I appreciate you being with us tonight, Tina, and we'll be talking some more about our next steps in the next few weeks.
All right. Thank you, everybody. See ya.
Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is public comment. I see one person who may be from the general public. I don't know, Mr. Ziegler, if you wish to speak or if you're just observing.
No, I just saw it in the paper. I'm just curious what you guys do, so I'm just publicly, I have no comments right now, so.
Okay, well, thank you for being with us. Okay, if there are no members of the public that wish to make any comment on non-agenda items, we'll move on then. The next item on the agenda is commission communications. We've talked about one of the communications, which is the Pride event communication. Is there anything else that anybody else has received that needs to be shared with the commission? Okay. The next thing on the agenda then would be, we don't have, I was hoping we would catch up with Dotso's report that we didn't get last month, and then Mary's report from earlier, but she's not here. So we're going to have to pass on the updates. To answer your question, Larry, I do know that one of the calls to the hotline during Mary's time was from a female inmate. But I don't see any indication of how that was handled. I would assume that Mary would know that she could contact the correctional facility. But until we get a response from her, I just don't know what's been done there.
I did email her asking her to, if she would be able to get back to me before the meeting so I could, you know.
Right, I saw that.
communicate with- But unfortunately, she hasn't. So
Well,
that's still an unknown. I will, did we have a name? Did you get a name of the?
I listened to it, but I didn't write it down because I was making sure that
Yeah,
Mary took the information
Yeah.
down.
well, I'll keep on Mary and follow up on it.
Okay, Bird,
I had it starting October 1st. I have not had any calls, and it says there are no saved messages.
yeah, they were cleaned up before you started the period, so, but what was done with those messages, I'm not sure,
Right.
but thank you, okay. If we can, we'll take the January 1st through the 15th and the 16th through the 31st of January for volunteers. Guy? Which period did you want?
I'll do January 1st to the 15th.
Okay, and I see Ellen's hand in the air. You want to take the second half of January?
I do.
Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, next item up would be Correctional Facilities Liaison Report. I know you've had some communication, Larry.
Yeah, it's been a very, very quiet month. I took that as a positive note, but I did inquire of our liaison. I think Norma Clements is our new liaison, and she emailed me back. I'll just read this to you all. It says, "We have had some positive changes in the facility lately. We have had a great change in our COVID-19 policies, and we now have volunteers coming into the facility once again for programs, which has been uplifting for our inmates and our staff. I'm happy to say that I have been seeing a boost in morale for all." So anyway, I think that's a positive outcome. And again, we'll just keep on keeping on. I don't know that there's any particular changes that need to be made at this point.
All right, well, we'll
Yeah,
just see where it goes from here.
yeah.
Any
Answer any
questions?
questions anybody has. Yeah.
Okay, looks like you answered all the questions.
Okay, moving on.
Okay, thank you, Larry. Standing committee reports, sanctuary ordinance, I would not imagine we've had anything to report, but Guy?
Yeah, there's nothing new. We haven't met, as I think most of the committee knows. I've been trying to get some representatives from the Latinx community to come and speak. I've invited El Centro, I don't know, 2 or 3 times without any success. I did write a couple other people. What is looking more promising, I did contact Fernando Paz, who is over at Cal Poly, and asked him if he would be willing to speak. He is involved over there in the El Centro group with academics and at the college, at the university. And he did get back to me after a couple of days and told me he wanted to make a few contacts with people because he didn't want to speak for the community until he had an opportunity to talk with them. But he seems like he's willing to speak. So as soon as I hear back from him, we'll try and set a date for one of our meetings upcoming, I hope.
It would be nice if we could get him for November. if you happen to be in contact with him. For December, we have a guest presentation from DHHS from Humboldt, from the county of Humboldt on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so they will be in December, but November would be available if he was interested in presenting.
Okay, I will let him know if I hear from him soon, I hope.
Okay, thank you. Human Trafficking Fund, we've talked about already. So there's no new business to report there. Under ad hoc committee reports, the Racism and Cultural Awareness Committee, which expires at the end of the year. The main goal here was to produce an event or a project related to American Indian Month in November. Carol, would you like to discuss that?
Sure. Okay. Today I sent Jim a couple of documents that I hope, Jim, you'll be able to share with the commission. One is the Proclamation on Indigenous Peoples Day that was done by the President Biden. And that day is on the same day as Columbus Day. So many of the tribes this coming Monday will have events held for Indigenous Day. I know Bear River is going to have one. I believe the Yurok tribe is going to have one. And then I also sent him the document of Governor Newsom's issues proclamation declaring Indigenous People Day for California. It's also on Columbus Day. And if you read the documents, they express how the Indigenous people were assimilated, were forced not to speak their languages, the treaties were broken, and so forth. So this, for us, is a great awareness to the Indian people. And thank you, Jim.
Sure. Took
And
me a
here's
while, but I
another
got
one
it.
about the National Native American Heritage Month, which is in November. And this is a short paragraphs regarding how it all started. And there in 1990, there you go, President George H.W. Bush approved a joint resolution designating November 1990 National American Indian Heritage Month. And ever since then, November has been named the National American Indian and Alaska Native Heritage Month. So I just wanted to share those. In the month of November, many of the tribes will have events that they share with their tribal members. So the only one that I know is open is the Bear River one, which is this coming Monday. And that's it. Any questions?
If there's no objection, I will copy this document and put an opening paragraph with it and send it to the Times Standard and maybe a couple of other media so that they can share it. We've got a couple of weeks of time left before this actually takes place, but it'd be nice to be on top of it. Unless there's any objection, I'll go ahead and do that.
Great.
Okay, well, thank you for investigating this, Carol and committee. Okay. All right, the next Guy, yes.
Yeah, just one follow-up to it. Maybe I missed it. listening, but I know Cal Poly has Native American activities all going on next week. So it'll be too late for us to be advertising it, but I know they have activities running Monday through Friday, including films and speakers. So they're doing some activities as well.
Very good. Any other comments or questions? Okay. The next committee report is the Homelessness
Oh,
Committee.
Jim,
Yes, I'm sorry.
sorry,
Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to mention, United Indian Health Services is also asking natives in Humboldt and Del Norte County to share a piece of their culture on Facebook. And so I'm going to share how to make a rabbit blanket, a rabbit skin blanket. The last time this was done was my grandmother made one in 1920.
Oh my gosh.
And she taught me with a short demonstration on how to make it. So I am making my first rabbit skin blanket. So it's been over 100 years since this blanket has been made.
That's very cool. Very cool. Okay. Guy, do you have a report on the Homelessness Committee?
We have, well, Jim and I actually did meet once last week, and I think the only thing that we really discussed was kind of, I guess, renaming the Homeless Committee the Housing and Behavioral Health Committee to kind of widen the scope, I think, of what we're doing here in the county. And I know I sent you, I think, a email, I think earlier today, news article talking about, you know, the homeless crisis that has grown. They reporting the numbers in California have gone up just this year. And of course, this is in spite of a huge amount of money that is being poured into, you know, solving the problem. But much like we've discussed in the past, it's not just a question of you know, throwing money at the problem. It's going to be time, because this is a problem that's been growing for 50 years. So it's unfortunately not going to solve in 5 minutes. And but definitely something we're going to continue to look at.
Okay, one of the things we discussed too was extending the committee because of the change in the dynamics of what the committee is going to be doing in the short run until there's a specific action that the Human Rights Commission can take. We'll monitor news sources and share those with the commission in general on either on homelessness or on behavioral health, so that we are kept abreast of what's going on, and we would extend the commission or the committee until the end of the fiscal year, which would be 6/30 of 23. Any questions or concerns?
Well, I advocate changing the name. I like that change, getting rid of homeless and do housing and what was the how what was the
Behavioral
other,
health.
Behavioral health.
Yeah, yeah.
I would agree. I think it's a good change.
We need to, yeah.
Well, if you want to, let's
I agree.
formalize it and make that a motion with a second. Are you moving that we formally adopt that, Larry?
Sure. I move that we formally adopt the name change from homeless to housing and behavioral health.
Okay,
Is that?
that's fine. And Bird seems to agree with a second.
Okay.
Okay, all those is there any discussion about that? Okay, then that being the case, all those in favor of approving the name change of that committee, please indicate with a yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
Appears to be unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay.
Jim, do we need to approve the date change as well? Or is that,
Well, let's just see if there's anybody that objects to it.
okay,
Is the extension of the date to June 30th acceptable? Anybody have a problem with that? Okay, it appears that there's no objection to that. Okay. Next committee up is survey results and policies. Ellen,
Yeah, I'm still unfortunately working on the final report, working on some formatting stuff that I'm still struggling with that, but I'm hoping that'll be done as soon as possible. And then I'm hoping that we can all, we can put it on our website so it can be available to the general public and have it available otherwise as well to whoever might want to have a look at it. That would be.
very good. Thank you.
Ellen, do you have any ideas yet on policies that we might recommend to the Board of Supervisors?
That's a good question. I'm gonna have to look at it again to see, because most of my analysis is more general, not any specific policy. But I'll have to get back to you on that, Bert. That's a really good question.
Okay,
And I think it'll takes a lot of thought and careful consideration.
Well,
Thank you.
once your final report is solid, then that would be the next logical step to take. Okay,
Yeah, that sounds good. It's frustrating dealing with the formatting, but I'll get there.
I know you will. Thank you. Okay. New commission logo. I want to encourage all of you to chip in whatever small way you can, but we have a really, I don't think you can see this very well. We have a really good flyer. It's on hard copy stock. It would be suitable for putting on a bulletin board in an office, or whether that's at a school or a center that services the general public. But I would like to encourage you to reach out to me. We've got 100 of these. We've had trouble getting adequate participation, but we did extend the ending date. It's a $500 prize for the winning submission. And so please reach out to me if you think you have a place where 1 or 2 or 3 of these flyers might go. And then we'll make sure that they get to you and to them as quickly as possible. Larry, you have?
Yeah, can they be mailed?
Well,
I mean, you're gonna be mailing me some resource cards. I was thinking maybe if you could throw a couple of those, I'd be happy to. The places where I was gonna put the resource cards would be real good places for those posters as well. So I would like 3 of them.
yeah, I'll include some of those along with the resource cards for you.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Great, thank you. And if
And
anybody else has a need for some, please let me know. Carol?
Jim, can you drop some by on my porch?
Sure, how many do you think you might be able to use?
About 5 or so?
Okay,
Jim, I'd like 3.
okay, very good.
Jim, I'd like 5 if possible, please.
Ellen, 5.
Thank you.
Okay, I know where your mailbox is. All right. Any other comments or questions on the logo contest? I'd have more to say, except that the expert on this is Dotso, and she is not with us this evening. Next committee up is Indigenous Peoples Report. Chair is Lisa, but she's not here. Has there been any activity at all from that committee?
None.
Okay. All right, well, we'll move on to the next meeting then to see if we get some activity there. Next report would be from the Junior Human Rights Commission Ad Hoc Committee. Jamie, is there anything for you to report tonight? Oops, I can see you're talking, but I don't hear anything.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
That's weird. I must not have engaged. It showed I was unmuted. I actually, before I report, we did meet and I have a little bit of a report for you and maybe a little discussion if we have time.
sure.
But I noticed that you list the members of the committee as me, Bird, and you. And I'm sorry, I thought that at the last meeting we had said it would be me, Bird, and Mary.
I think you're correct.
Okay.
Yes, you're right.
So I just wanted to apologize if I left you out in organizing a meeting.
No, I got enough to do. That's all
All
right.
right. Great. So Bird and Mary and I met on Monday, October 3rd. We started just by kind of discussing a timeline for development of the Junior Human Rights Commission. And we're thinking that our target would be to have it set up enough to do elections in April, May, and then the commissioners would begin in the following August. So typically Junior Human Rights Commissions run with the academic year. So they serve for 9 months. So that would be our hope. We are going to start doing outreach and kind of trying to start a buzz about it now this month. And so we're working on that. I reached out to some troop leaders, Girl Scout troop leaders, to potentially identify some older girls that might want to take this on as a project to help us out with really the development before we're able to recruit. So we're working on identifying some people, some girls who might be interested. We talked a little bit identifying, before I get to that, I'm going to come back to that point. Mary is working on gathering a list of all the 36 high schools in Humboldt County and their principals. And so I'll be creating a draft letter to send out to those principals, just to tell them a little bit about what we're doing and our plan, and ask them to identify a key point person within the high school that we can reach out to and kind of keep in communication with. So we're working on that this month. And kind of along with that, I'm working on creating a flyer to help build awareness and get people talking about it and be aware. The thing I want to come back to, we identified some community partners and agencies that might have existing models that we can follow. So we're not kind of recreating the wheel. So things like teen court, places like teen court. I reached out to the Sonoma County Junior Human Rights Commission, has an email. So I sent them an email. I haven't heard back yet, but I'm hoping that they have some templates and ideas and lessons learned that they'll share with us. But if we have time, do we have time for a few minutes of a discussion?
Sure, absolutely.
One of the things that we were trying to kind of consider, and we thought it'd be best to bring it back to the entire commission, is to think about how to structure this Junior Human Rights Commission. So there's multiple ways that we kind of came up with that it could be structured. It could be a standing committee of this Human Rights Commission. It could be a standalone program, or it could be a club at high schools that kids are part of. Our hope is to have representation from each district. So once we have an idea of what schools want to participate and who we'll be reaching out to and where we'll be kind of recruiting applicants for the junior commission from, we'll think about what numbers that would look like for each section. But so we wanted to kind of bring this here and just think about what would be some of the pros and some of the cons of having this Junior Human Rights Commission be a standing committee of this Human Rights Commission, or would it be better to potentially have it be kind of a outside entity that we still have some oversight and accountability for? I just wanted to see if there were thoughts about that.
This is Carol.
Hi, Carol.
I like the idea of creating a club where we could be the commission could be advisors to.
Yeah, I think that's a good approach too. I think they ought to be autonomous, but with some advice or direction from us, either one person or the group.
I think we need to be sure that we do have a role in what they are doing, whether it's mentorship or advisorship or whatever, or even a committee of this commission. I think it's important that we maintain contact with them and in some kind of advisory role.
And one of the responsibilities that I'm anticipating including in the description of what it means to be a junior human rights commissioner, and I took this from Sonoma counties, is attendance at least 4 Human Rights Commission meetings per year. I think that's what they use. I'm not sure about the number, but they need to attend some of them. 2 Human Rights Commissions per year.
Yeah, that's not asking too much.
Yeah, exactly. So that would be a little bit of kind of cross pollination too, where they would come and report out about the activities of the Junior Human Rights Commission, hear what we're doing, take that back to their group. So there'd be that piece of it. And definitely there will be a mentorship and a training and orientation piece. Jim, yeah.
Just along while you're brainstorming here, we produce an annual report to the Board of Supervisors. I can see where, if this was well structured and well presented, where we might really get more support from the Board of Supervisors if they had a standalone report from the students, because those students all represent parents, and those parents all represent constituencies to the board. So I think that might be something we'd want to weave into the process.
Great idea.
This is Carol.
Carol, go ahead.
Yeah. I would suggest also contacting the Fortuna High School principal or their advisor that deals with the minority groups there, because there's been reports of potential gang-related events occurring that have been prevented. But there seems to be an appearance of discrimination with the races.
Yeah, definitely they're on our list, Carol, to reach out to.
Larry.
Well, I was wondering, what kind of parameters in terms of age? What is is there a break off? It seems to me we don't want to limit to necessarily to high school students. Maybe we do, but it would seem to me that there's a lot of youth that aren't in high school anymore, or that would be valuable participants in something like this. Just throwing that out. I don't know if what the parameters are going to be. And the other thing I was thinking was maybe we ought to involve the Board of Supervisors. Maybe the board should have appointing powers of these junior human rights commissioners. Anyway, just a thought, throwing it out there.
Yeah, we thought about that too, how they would be selected. So definitely I'll be coming back to you all, or as a group, to talk about the election processes and application processes, because I think there's pros and cons to the different ideas that we thought about at that point. Typically the age would be 14 to 18. So sophomores, juniors, seniors. So they would get kind of some outreach done to them when they're in their freshman year. There's a responsibility for those going out to do that outreach. And then they would kind of mentor them in a little bit, help get them trained. Seniors would graduate, freshmen would come in. I think it gets a little tricky when you go younger than that. but potentially we could think about it. Just because that's the standard doesn't mean we have to do that. We can do whatever makes sense for Humboldt County. Over 18, I do think that there's a role for transitional age youth. 18 to, what is it, 25 is transitional age youth. I don't know exactly what that is, but I have on my list to reach out to Calla Peltier at HCTC and talk to her about ideas and strategies there of at least creating some kind of mentorship or bridging with the group at HCTC, because I think there's good opportunity there as well.
Good, thank you.
Yeah. Jim.
Jamie, since you mentioned teen court, what immediately occurred to me was that's usually related to the Boys and Girls Clubs. And that might be a group that might not necessarily be represented in schools per se. So that's another channel, I think.
Sorry, I'm muted again. Yeah, so Bird introduced me to Sasha Marini, who is the teen court director and is at Boys and Girls Club. So
Right,
we're in communication with Sasha as well.
very good.
Yeah. And I'm sure as we're kind of moving forward and thinking about, there will be ways to, I mean, I'd like to think about, kids who are on independent study, are they captured in these places? And they might be, depending on the 36 schools that get listed. If there's, if they're, I can't think of what Atoll Charter School is now, but they do a lot of home study. They're kind of a home base for some home study. So I think there's ways to think about that too. So that's where we are. We're going to make some of those initial contacts, kind of learn a little bit from what Sonoma County has learned or has learned through their process. And then we'll come back and map out the steps for you next time. And we're going to meet again on the 24th is our next meeting.
Very good. You guys have made some good progress already. That's excellent.
Excellent, yeah.
Bird.
I would like to suggest that we change the ending date because this is going to be at least through the end of the fiscal year and maybe through September.
So what are you proposing?
Well, I would like to see it go till 12/31/23. That would give plenty of time to get it started in the schools and mentoring and so forth. But I think that's probably what I think would be the best.
Well, unless there's an objection, we can do that. After we initially get things rolling, we can revise it for the future.
Right.
I think that's a good idea. I was kind of thinking that we would revise it at some point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, unless there's any objection, we'll make the ending date 12/31/23.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, guys. The last report is the rapid response report. And I think I have something to share here. I sent this out to let's see. I sent this out to everybody along with the agenda. This kind of is what we would like to propose to the commission tonight. Can everybody see this? I assume. This is a way to respond to current events in a cohesive manner, representing what we believe the commission would want to say to the public. Sometimes things happen in between our commission meetings. And by the time we get to meet to talk about them, they're either resolved or they've escalated to another point. So this is what we came up with. The basic authorization would be to authorize the chair to speak on current issues of the day within the guidelines listed below. And then I listed in bullet point form the various aspects of this. Has anybody had a chance to think about this or would like to make any comment?
I would like to, Jim, could I add to what you have said?
Is this Bird?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Bird.
I think what we were trying to do is to come up with something that the chair could do the day something happened or the next day. So that what it would really mean is that the chair would have a specific statement, like the sample that's down at the bottom of the page. And that would be the only thing that would be that you would say. It would not be the beginning of an interview, for example, when you began talking about other kinds of things. It would just be the sample, plugging in what the specific issue was, and that you don't have it there, Jim.
What's that?
You don't have it on this.
No, I just realized that.
I think it was 2 documents when you sent it out, Jim.
I'm sorry about that. I don't.
Well, it was on my document that you sent out. Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead. It's not that long.
No, it's not very long. The commission has heard about, and then it would be this issue, specific issue, in our community, attacking the human rights of, and then you would plug in the specific group. The commission considers this type of attack unacceptable and wishes to condemn those who have done this. The commission is charged with eliminating discrimination throughout our county, and we try to call out anyone who attacks the rights of others. As chair, I will place this issue on the agenda of our next meeting, and then you would give the date and time of that meeting. Members of the public are invited to attend and comment on any agenda item. The commission also operates a phone message line for any questions, comments, or suggestions, giving the number. A commissioner will return your call if you leave your phone number. And the reason we did this, it's a response saying we don't agree with whatever this issue was. We're condemning it. But it's also a time to give a little more information about the commission and get that out there, get the word out there any way we can of who we are and when our meetings are, and the people can come and comment.
Yeah, this is an effort that's really can work in tandem with the articles that Guy has been producing, but it's kind of intended to be more issue related. So that's why we've treated it as a separate project. Any other comments or suggestions? Bird.
I move the adoption of the Rapid Response Ad Hoc Committee recommendations.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Larry,
Yes, I'll
second.
second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Any further discussion?
Bert, could you repeat your motion again, please?
Yes, and I'm going to change it a little bit. I move the adoption of the Rapid Response Ad Hoc Committee recommendation to the commission as presented and amended at the meeting, because the amendment that I read, because this is what you're seeing.
Right, it would be included.
Yes.
And
Mr.
Larry, you're okay with that?
Yes, no problem.
Are you
Okay.
okay, Carol? Do you need again?
Do it again. I got most of it.
Rapid response, I move the adoption of the Rapid Response Ad Hoc Committee recommendation to the commission with the additions presented at the meeting.
Okay. Got it.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no further discussion,
Jim.
go ahead. I can't see who's,
It's Jamie.
oh, Jamie, go ahead.
I just pulled up the document that you had emailed out, and it's a little bit different from this document. The bullet points are different a little bit. It doesn't have the broadcast bullet point.
That's right. Yes.
And there's a little bit of a preamble kind of paragraph before the bullet points that give context. And I actually like the document use, and it also has the paragraph that Bird recommended.
I think I pulled up the wrong,
This
You
might be an
did.
old version.
yes, the one you have.
Jamie, can you share that one?
No, I'm looking at it on my phone. I can in just a minute.
Because that's what
Yeah, I
that's
think
the
you're
one
right. I think that's what's happened here.
Yeah. So before we haven't voted on I'm going to
I'm gonna take that down and then we'll see if Jamie can,
Sorry, my duo or my double login caused me a problem. I'll have it in just 1 second. Unless someone else has it.
And Jim, can you resend the correct
yes, I will.
version?
the correct one is the one that I got.
I got the right one too. Yeah, you're correct. Here, I got it. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Can you see that?
Yes,
Yes.
that's the one.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's what I meant to send. I'm sorry.
This is the one you emailed out.
Yes,
Okay.
So maybe we should see if people can look at this and ask any questions, and then I will I'll withdraw the motion I had before and come up with a new one.
I only suggest we spell out the first HCRC.
as in the first sentence and then not in the future. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
Just say commission after that.
or
Sure.
just the letters.
The
HCHSC.
acronym.
Yeah.
Does anybody need a little bit more time to digest this?
I really like this version.
Yeah,
So this is the one we came up with after all our discussion. That other one was our beginning.
right.
So, are you ready for another motion?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Wait a minute.
It's gonna be pretty close, Carol.
Okay.
I move the adoption of the Rapid Response Ad Hoc Committee recommendations to the commission as presented at the meeting on October 6th. Is that good?
That's
Got it.
fine. Larry, do you still second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay. Now, is there any further discussion? Okay, that being the case, all those in favor of approving the recommendation of the Rapid Response Committee, please indicate by a yes vote.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Are there any nays? I can't see everybody at the same time. Glad this isn't a bigger group. Okay, well then that's approved. That would also mean that this committee, which was temporary in nature, does not need to continue unless we decide at some point to revise the information or guidelines. I would like, if no single person, the chair is the spokesperson for the organization, but if the chair is unaware of a situation, it'd be very helpful if you as members keep in touch and keep the chair, whether that's me or somebody else, up to speed on events that might warrant this kind of a response. That's the whole point. And no single person's going to be aware of everything. Anyway, I think this is a good move for us.
So I do think we can say that the committee does not need to be on the it can be disbanded and not need to be on the agenda anymore.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. The only other business we had was unfinished business. It had to do with two events that were on the planning guide. I would like to recommend that we plan on a proclamation, which we have done before, to go out to city councils and the Board of Supervisors for Human Rights Awareness Month in the month of December. This says November, but that would not be correct.
Right.
And I could update this version that I have here and send it out for comment before it goes out to the various entities, if that's okay with everybody.
Sure.
All right. Okay, well, is there any other business that we need to take up this evening? Guy,
Not any new business, but on your future agenda item, I'm just jumping ahead. I believe we still have the college president's office going to come speak on November 3rd. Is that correct?
I knew there was one scheduled and I couldn't remember which.
Okay,
But it
well,
was.
no, well, I messed up too, if you recall. I sent you a note and then I think I said ignore my earlier note because
Yes,
I got the dates messed up too. So
so he or she will be present at the November meeting?
that's, at least that's the last word I've got. November 3rd, she'll be representing the president of Cal Poly Humboldt.
Okay, well, at some point, refresh my memory with her name and the position, and we'll make sure that that's included on the agenda for November.
And can I make one more pitch?
Sure.
I'll be doing another item for the time standard and Mad River Union. So if anybody has ideas that they want projected, I take what I get from our meeting, but I don't mean to miss anybody or miss anything. So if you got any ideas you want to have in that column, send it out. I'll be working on it over the next week or so. And then I send it out to you guys for additions, subtractions, deletions, whatever. Just, help me out on it. So
When would be the print date roughly?
it really doesn't matter. I just told them that we do it once a month. And as I know with the Mad River Union, their only deadline is whatever I submit, I have to submit by Friday at noon to get it into the next edition. So that's not a problem. And time standard, I think when I submitted the last one, they printed it 2 days later. So they obviously have different deadlines. So it's not a
Well, this
problem.
wouldn't necessarily apply to the November article, but the one printed in mid to late November for December could be the Human Rights Awareness Month.
Yeah, well, like I said, anything you want to add, because I mean, I'm
Yeah.
gleaning stuff from what everybody's talking about, and and then I'm hopeful. Bird has always been terrific for catching all my little errors over there, and Carol's been good at giving suggestions. But anybody else, please jump on it. Say, hey, you forgot this. This is really important, or whatever. Please share it, and I'll get it in, and then feel free to edit because. I've been teaching 35 years. My skin is very thick now.
Okay. Any other items we ought to consider for the November agenda?
Jim, I have one question for the agenda.
Okay,
Unfinished business, you said plan for homeless people's Memorial Day in November.
yeah, that I couldn't find anything that I found something from Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, but it was very ambiguous about its date. So I'm afraid I don't have anything to suggest at this point for that activity. We could bring it up again. Why don't we include that in the November agenda as well? Okay. All right, is any other new business for this evening? All right, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Bird moves that we adjourn. Is there a second?
I second it.
Larry seconds it. Okay. I don't
I'm
think there's going to
hungry.
be any argument about that. So all those in favor of adjourning for the evening, please indicate with a yes. Thank you all
Yes.
very, very much.
My sheep, thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Night bird.
Good night.
Take care of them. Bye-bye. Have a nice evening.